Today I'm going to share some tips on how to stow your parawing easily. Let's go! Thanks so much for joining us. Today we are talking parawing and how to stow your parawing easily. There are a few different techniques out there. I'm going to share the technique that I prefer, which might differ from a lot of people, but I'm going to explain why I prefer it. And for this video, I mostly use the new BIM S3 parawing. I will have a review coming on the S3, so I can explain my thought on the S3. For foils, I've been using the 900 Ultra from AFS with the new titanium fuse, amazing. And mostly I've been using a smaller downwind burn from KT as my parawing burn, because I'm on the lake. It's been kind of like on the lake, the wind can be really up and down, and a bigger bird gives me more room to take off if the wind actually does drop off quite a bit. So today I'm gonna share some tips on how to stow smoothly. The main thing we need to understand is when we are out there and riding, we are up on foil, which we are using an energy to be moving, which is the wind with the parawing. What we are looking to do when we stow the parawing is we are really looking to transfer that energy source to another energy source. There's basically three different sources that we can tap into. The wind, we can tap into the swell, or we can self-propel and tap into our pumping, our legs to keep moving. Ideally, when we stow the parawing, we want to go from the wind, which is easily available, to the bump, which again is gonna not require us to give our own energy. Too often I see people rushing into stowing the parawing just to find themselves pumping their brain out, trying to find a bump. So ideally we want to go from wind to bump energy, and that's going to make the process a lot easier, because when the bump starts giving us energy, it's really going to decrease the energy we have in the parawing. That's the right timing to stow it. If we stow when we still have a lot of power in the parawing, we're gonna have a lot of tension in the parawing. So we are basically trying to kill it, but it's just under a lot of tension. So the right timing is when we are on the bump, and the bump is giving us now the energy, taking over the energy we have in the parawing, because we turn downwind, because we are on the bump. Now that parawing is going to be very light, very easy to stow. A lot of people are going to say, yeah, but that's because you ride in lighter wind. Not at all. I'm going to show you some clips of the gorge when it's blowing 25, 30, 35. It's the exact same principle. Because if you have more wind, you have bigger bumps, you have more speed. We could almost do the same even on flat water, as long as we build up speed, we turn downwind, and with that speed, we're going to be able to really remove a lot of power in the parawing. So now the technique that you're going to see me using a lot is catching all of the lines. And that reasoning to me is that it eliminates a lot of tangle, because I have all of the lines right here. I have control of all of the lines. The other technique that you will see people using a lot is the front lines. What I don't really like about that is you see how all of those lines are like dangling and really wanting to tangle in anything. I find that when I do use this technique, we have a lot more possibility of tangling in if you wear a hook on you, because you ride a harness. If you have a leash, that's why they came up with the leash with the cover. I've never actually even needed the cover so much, because nothing is down there trying to get tangled. And so then when I stow, what I do is with my bar, I go in the back, I catch the lines inside so that everything is really nice and tidy, and then I can kind of like stuff it and be ready to go. The thing that I've also heard is when you catch all of the lines, you can get a big pocket of air in the parawing. I haven't had that so much happening for me because mostly when I do store the parawing, there is very little power in it. I could see if you store the parawing at the wrong time, you are super powered, you force your parawing to kill the power, you store it when it's still under a lot of pressure, I could see how it would be a lot harder. The other thing that could happen is if you try to do that when the lines are under a lot of tensions, maybe you're gonna catch one of the side, one of your tip first, and it's gonna make the parawing spin because you basically, let's say, when you come and grab it from the back, you pull on one side and it's gonna start spinning, so now you have a few turns into your parawing. But for me, because I always do the timing where I turn downwind, I'm on the bump, my parawing, essentially all I have to do is give it a little tension on the back lines, it stalls, it's right there, and I collect it. So by the time my backhand comes and collects the lines, there's very little tension in the lines. I've pulled on the back lines, made it stall, there was already not much wind. It's essentially in really light wind. When I turn downwind, I create a situation where it's ultra light wind, and of course, when it's ultra light wind, if you pull too much on the back lines, it's gonna stall. So that transfer of power to me is essential, and you want to try to keep the pumping energy source for when you need it, which is when you connect bumps in between. There is no need to go from killing your parawing, pumping to try to find a bump. You have power in your parawing, use it to position yourself on the right bump. If you don't have the right bump, keep your parawing open and find the right bump before you stow it. You don't want to be stowing it, pumping, looking for a bump. You are like unnecessary, getting tired, and you're not gonna make the right decision if you are redlining because you've been pumping. So the other thing that we need to talk about is how to deploy it. And it's really gonna be the same principle, but reversed, in a way that we are gonna transfer the energy this time from the bump to the wind. So when we are on a bump and we are pointing downwind, we're gonna have very little energy in the wind. So we're gonna be able to deploy and really make sure that there is very little power in the parawing to deploy it, for it to inflate. What we are looking for is to basically have a little wind, and then as we see that everything is right, we're gonna start edging slowly into the wind, building more of that tension, and it's gonna inflate really nicely. That's gonna give us a chance to, if I redeploy and I feel like I have a massive spin, I have like a few twists in my lines, and I don't really want to inflate like that, well, I keep going downwind, I'm not gonna turn yet, so it's not gonna inflate it too much, and I'm gonna catch it again and I'm gonna have a chance to fix it. When that does happen, what I like to do is actually try to find the front lines, and really make sure that I follow it. So here I would see that, boom, I would be able to find the right side. That's the only time I would really use the front lines for me, not to stow it, but to redeploy it if I feel like there is some twist. When I let it go, I'm gonna find the front lines, I'm gonna go to it, and now I know I have the leading edge up, the trailing edge down, and I'm ready to redeploy it. So that's again very important to understand that we don't want the parawing to just inflate full power right away, because if there is a twist, that's gonna mess us up, and we're not gonna have a chance to fix it. So as long as you are on the bump, as long as you are using that energy going downwind, reducing how much power you have from the wind, you're gonna be able to slowly ease off, build that tension right away. It's gonna be a lot smoother. So that is how I prefer to store the parawing. I'm gonna show you a clip coming up. It's essentially the same information but delivered live on the water, so you're not gonna get anything new. If you are happy with the information, you can probably skip that. It's gonna be a lot of like repeating myself, but let's go on the water and I'm gonna show you live what that looks like. Okay, come with me. Today I'm going to show you how to stow your parawing smoothly. What we need to understand is when we're parawing, we have three sources of power available to us. We have the wind, which I'm using right now with the parawing. We have the bumps, small bumps today, we're on the lake, and we have our legs if we need to pump. Ideally, we're going to transfer from one source to the other, and too often I see people transitioning from the wind to pumping their brain out to try to find a bump. Let's try to transition from the parawing to a bump. The good thing is it's going to make the transition a lot easier because we get power from the bump. The parawing just came down. I prefer to catch all of the lines, that way nothing is dangling and creating a tangle. If you catch the front lines, that's totally fine, but now you have the trailing edge with all of those lines flapping around, wanting to tangle anything it can tangle. So I transition from the bump to, from the wind to the bump, and I'm just using my pumping to connect when I'm not really well positioned. If I need to transition back to the parawing, I'm gonna do the same process. I'm gonna do transfer of power. So right now I'm going with the bump, so there will be very little energy in the parawing, and you're gonna see I'm slowly gonna phase out. So there is no energy in the parawing. I slowly edge. It opens smoothly, and that really allows me to increase the power as I want. If I see that I didn't have, here we kill it, easy, I'm on the bump, it just took over. And when I want to reopen, I'm going to do the same process, but because I'm controlling how much power I have in my parawing, if I see that there is a twist or anything, I can keep going downwind, it's not going to power it and tangle it. So I have no power right now, I edge, and I get power in my parawing. Transfer of power, very important. Don't use your pumping too much because you're not gonna be aware. If you are working too hard, you're gonna make bad decisions. Let's go. One more time. We're gonna try to find a bump. We're gonna transition, and it's pretty minimal for sure. We're on a lake, but it's a good exercise. Here, I think I can line up with something about here, and boom, I go very light, it comes down, I get all of the lines, I'm on the bump, pump a little to get back high on the mast, and try to stay with it. When I find myself a bit in a hole, I use a little pumping, not enough to kill me, just enough to reposition myself on another bump. If I try to stay high, of course it's gonna help, so I try to be as high as possible. If I find myself low, a little pump, I'm high again, and I get energy. I want to transition back to the parawing. I'm gonna try to be nicely on the bump, again because I'm gonna transition from one source to another. So let's go. I'm nicely on the bump. I'm gonna let it go. And I'm ready for some power. Start edging a little. I had to correct it, but it was fine because I didn't have a ton of power in the parawing. So I could take my time, fix it, and then when I'm ready, edge and get power. So in this clip, of course, it was maybe on the lighter side, of wind. It was, I would say, 20 knots, about 20 knots, maybe a bit more in a gust. It's on the lake, so it can go basically 15 to 25 easily. But it's the same principle when you are really powering, it really all works the same. So I hope that this is gonna give you an understanding of the timing of the principle behind, transferring the power you have in your parawing to something else, to the bump, and how that's gonna make your process of stowing a lot easier. Of course, it depends on the parawing you're gonna be using. you know, the S3 is really optimized to be stowing. So within one reach, I can really put a lot of tension in all of the lines. I'm really getting all of the lines almost equal. So I'm not gonna have an issue of having one side that's like flapping so much. I have really good control of it. So that's gonna, you know, maybe depend a bit on the parawing that you are using. Hopefully you can catch it all in one go. And I'm, you know, 5'8", so I'm not necessarily super tall. I don't have a big wingspan with my arms, and I'm still reaching, and that is the 4.2 meters. So I hope that this video was helpful for you guys. If there is anything that I missed, if you have some tips that you would like to share with everybody, make sure to drop it in the comments. All of the gear that I use in my videos is always available at wingfoilprocenter.com. If you get value out of my videos, I would appreciate you checking it out. If you need anything, reach out to me at the shop. That's how I'm able to keep making all of those videos for you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.